should perish, lost in shades of night. Publish glad tidings, tidings of peace, tidings of Yahusha, redemption and release. Proclaim to every people, tongue and nations, that Elohim in whom we live and move is love. Tell how we start to save the lost creation, and guide that man might live again. Publish the tidings, tidings of peace, tidings of Yahusha, redemption and release. Good evening, world. 6 days, 6 working days has ended, and 7 days have ended since the arrival of the new moon, which is the 10th biblical lunar month, TEBETH, 6006. Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. And on the 6th day, Yahweh ended his work which he had made, and rested on the 7th day. Therefore, Yahweh blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. And so this evening I am on the street to acknowledge and to welcome in Yahweh's set apart Sabbath of the first quarter of the moon, TEBETH 8. And 6. I have watched as the new moon arrived. I have watched the weather, and I thought to myself that because of all this rain and clouds, I may not see the moon, but deep within my spirit, I know that Yahweh would dry up the rain, and the new moon would have the opportunity of proclaiming that Yahweh's Sabbath is on its way. Today is a unique day because it is also called the day of the new year, 2020. But as you look around, you can see dry leaves, dry trees, everything proclaiming that the year is not new at all. New year cannot be until after winter ends and spring will bring in the new year. This evening, I just want to pause to give Yahweh special thanks and praise for revealing to us His truth. Despite the fact that Rome has lied to us. I will. Bless you. Despite the fact that we have been lied to for over 1,000 years by Rome, Yahweh has not cut us off. But Yahweh is now revealing to us His Sabbath, His true feast days, and His Sabbath. I think it is Jeremiah 16:19 tells us that we have inherited lies. Lies, there's no truth in what we have been taught. We have been fed with things that are far as the east is from the west, from what is true. This evening, as you look up, you can see the moon overhead, bearing witness that this is Yahweh's Sabbath of the first quarter of the moon. Today on man's Gregorian calendar, the month of January begins. And we are now learning that January is named after the deity, the god Janus. And we are also learning that this day that is called the New Year and in January was one of the most terrifying days, day of the year for our ancestors who have been brought into slavery because of their disobedience. Yes, something went wrong again, and I am not going to be able to read just like last week. But as I said, we have inherited lies, and we born into a system which we find our parents celebrating different days and different feasts, and without any investigation we follow. But I have discovered by observing that Rome under Constantine is responsible for removing Yahweh's Sabbath from the moon phases. And so this evening, as I usually do, I am declaring to the world that Saturday nor Sunday is not Yahweh's Sabbath. I am declaring that it is Constantine of Rome that has removed Yahweh's Sabbaths and Yahweh's feast days from the moon phases. And from observation, I see where Rome has placed their feast days upon Yahweh's set-apart Sabbath. If not directly on the Sabbath, it's like a day before or a day after, because only Yahweh's time is precise. We notice that Christmas was on Yahweh's holy set-apart Sabbath of the 4th quarter of the 9th moon. We also notice that the day that is after the Sabbath, that is called Boxing Day, it was on the preparation, it was on the new moon. Yes, it was on the new moon. And today, new moon was all, today, January, the new year, was also on the preparation day for the Sabbath of the 1st quarter of the 10th moon, TEBETH 8, 6006. So, like Yahusha said in John, which is really Yachaman 4:22, we worship what we know not what. So here we are worshiping all these pagan holidays, thinking that we are worshiping our Creator, when other deity such as Lord God and Jesus Christ, all Greeks, are being worshipped. Isaiah 66 verses 22 and 24 says, "For as the new, and it shall come to pass, for as the new heavens and the new earth which I shall make shall remain before me, so shall your seed and your name remain. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, says Yahweh." Exodus 31 verses 12 to 17 also points out that Israel is to keep Yahweh's Sabbath, and Yahweh's Sabbath is a sign between Yahweh and his people Israel. Yahweh pointed out to Moses that whoever profaned the Sabbath of Yahweh by polluting it and doing work would be cut off from his people. It also pointed out that Yahweh's Sabbath is a perpetual sign between him and his people throughout all generations. Holy Sabbath day of rest, by you shall richly blessed. It to us a sign shall be throughout all eternity. I must say, I regret that I am not able to read again because of the dark. But in everything, let's praise Yahweh. Let's give Yahweh thanks. Because nothing under the sun can take place except Yahweh himself permits it. And it might be for a reason. Because I won't be able to read, I'll have to just say what is in my spirit. So this could be a good thing. Yes, I read in Isaiah 56, where Yahweh spoke of the blessing that he will pour out on both the stranger, the Gentiles, and the eunuch who keep his Sabbaths and who pleases him. Yahweh promised that he would give them a name and a possession equal to that of sons and daughters. Yahweh promised that he would also give them a name of the everlasting, and that he would make them joyful in his house. He also said their burnt offerings will be accepted, and his house shall be called a house of prayer for all people. Now we know that Israel is Yahweh's chosen people. We know that Israel went into captivity because they had rejected Yahweh's laws. And we also know that as a result, the Sabbath was not being kept. But I think it is in Exodus 3, about there where Yahweh sent Moses. Yahweh appeared to Moses in the burning bush and chose Moses to go to Egypt and to tell Pharaoh to let his people go. And of course, we know that Moses was not willing at first. But when Yah gave him the sign to show to Pharaoh, to prove that Yahweh, the Almighty One, the Father of Israel, had sent him to deliver his people, Israel, out of bondage. And so as a result of being enslaved, Israel had lost sight of Yahweh's Sabbath. And so we have it in Exodus 20 as the fourth commandment, where Yahweh said, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of Yahweh, your Elohim. We also know that Yahweh tested Israel by sending manna from heaven. Eat 6 days, and commanded that they gather twice as much on the 6th day in order to have enough for the 7th day. Thus, Yahweh has great regard for his Sabbath. And as we know for sure that Constantine of Rome removed Yahweh's Sabbath and fixed from the moon phases and are now celebrating all their pagan feasts on Yahweh's Sabbath, or the day before or the day after, because as we know, only Yahweh's time is precise. We also know that Israel, Yahweh placed Israel into a perfect land with everything that was needed and commanded them to keep his laws and his statutes and his judgments. But Israel went back to the same old story and forget Yahweh's Sabbath and went into idolatry, the idolatry of the other nations. And so a curse has been placed upon Israel, where Yahweh caused them to be enslaved again. And this time he also caused his Sabbaths and his feast days to be forgotten in Zion. That is told to us in Lamentation 2 verses 1 to 6. So it's not by chance that Yahweh's Sabbath is forgotten. Yahweh has caused his Sabbaths to be forgotten. I think the verse tells us that there was wailing in Zion, because Yahweh had treated Israel like an enemy. And so for a while, Yahweh's Sabbath has been forgotten. And for years, we believe that Saturday was the Sabbath. But now Yahweh is awakening Israel. Yahweh is awakening his people. And things that we did not know before, Yahweh is causing us to know now. We know now that all these holidays are celebration of how they used to do Yahweh's people who was brought into slavery. We now know that our ancestors were murdered, raped, and separated from their families, and New Year Day, which is January the 1st, that we now know is dedicated to the god or the deity Janus, was a day of terror for our forefathers. Now, as we know these things, I would urge us, by the mercies of Yahweh, that we arise, we become awakened to these facts and come out and cease from the practices of the European idols and rituals. Yahweh is now calling us to be among those that will build the always waste places and become repairer of the breach. That is found in Isaiah 58, and I think it's about 12 and 13. Yahweh is calling us to build the old waste places for men and become a repairer of the bridge and cause this place to be a street to dwell in. Yes, let us cease our stubborn disobedience. Let us return to Yahweh's laws, because it is only as we return to Yahweh's law can the curses of Deuteronomy leave us. Only as we return to the obedience of Yahweh's law will the enemy stop from afflicting us and ill-treating us. We need to come close to Yahweh. I think it's Isaiah tells us that our sin, our iniquities have separated us from our Father so that He cannot hear us. And I now know that iniquities is simply disobedience. So let us return to obedience. Let us delight to walk in Yahweh's law. Deuteronomy 7 tells us that Yahweh has chosen us to be His peculiar people, and all Israel is to keep Yahweh's law. I noticed that our Hebrew Israelites are defending who they are. They are Yah's people, but they still celebrate Saturday Sabbath, which is not Yahweh's Sabbath, which does not bear His seal. Neither is it a sign between Yahweh and His people. Yahusha said, I think it's in Yakaman, which is called John 15:14, if He loves me, keep my commandment. If we say we love our Creator, then we are also to walk as His Son Yahusha walked. Love is not saying love. Love is an action. If He loves me, keep my commandments. We have the Rome Christianity pastors continue to preach that Yahweh's law, well, maybe dear God law, but Yahweh's law is eternal. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but one jot or one title shall in no wise pass from the law until all be fulfilled. Yes, so this is the first Sabbath of the 10th biblical lunar month, TEBETH 6006. And again, Saturday is not the Sabbath, neither is Sunday. Yahweh's Sabbath is determined by the new moon. and the 4 phases of the moon. Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life, and may enter in through the gates into the city. And my favorite again, if he be willing and obedient, he shall eat the good of the land. But if he refuse and rebel, he shall be devoured with the sword, because the mouth of Yahweh has spoken it. Holy Sabbath day of rest, by Yahusha richly blessed. It to us a sign shall be, throughout all eternity. Yes, there is the moon bearing witness, the first quarter of the moon bearing witness to Yahweh set apart Sabbath of the first quarter of the 10th moon, TEBETH 8, 6006. Have a happy and holy Sabbath. Let's remember Yahweh's Sabbath to keep it holy. Yahweh's Sabbath is the memorial of his great creation. Have a holy rest. And let us walk in obedience, in truth, and in righteousness. Shalom. Shalom.